Welcome back, everybody, to the Who Do You Like Here podcast. Joey C-Note and the Kid. Thanks for tuning in for another week of podcast at Churchill this week. Kid, how you doing?
Good. Feels like deja vu. I feel like we just did this.
A little bit. Yeah. Take two?
Take two. Yeah.
Yeah. Technical difficulties are awesome.
Yeah, they are. I'm doing well. Like I was saying before, I need a winner here this week. Rough week for the boys in the podcast, as well as both horse racing and sports betting. So
yeah,
might as well just
rip it off like a Band-Aid. Let's talk about last week right away on the ticket. Yep. So overall, 2 out of 5.
Yep.
Not ideal. However, the 3 legs we lost, all second place finishes from our picks. And there were some bombs that upset us. So if you're playing the pick 5, you want to see big prices. We just didn't have the 3 biggest prices of the pick 5.
Yep. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty dialed in. I mean, you can't. Sometimes you can handicap the long shots, but when you're getting bombs like that coming in, it's just you gotta wear it and move on to the next race at that point, basically.
Yeah, we're taking the L. We did hit the races that we did have the winner in. At least we did cash some of the exotics, which did help out to at least recoup some of the money here. Pick 5 was not going to happen, obviously, after the second leg, but going through last week's pick, 6 was your top pick in the first leg. Won that race. That was Jubilant Joni. Great ride by Raylu Gutierrez. Obviously, was like my third choice, I think, in the top picks. But exactly like you said, speed was the key. I was looking at closers. You were looking at speed.
Mm-hmm.
The 14 in that race got added into that race. It was on our ticket, so we did pull that try in, even though we didn't handicap the 14 in our picks. But once it came and also eligible and into the draw, that helped the payout for that at least. And then the 9 was third. Second leg, though, I got to tell you, that Voodoo Zip was the payout on that one. $69 for the winner. Not on the radar. Not one that we figured that was going to be able to be there. It was just a hell of a ride overall.
I looked at that horse on the form when we were handicapping it, and I kept going back to it, and I was looking at it, but I just couldn't sell myself on the horse when I was looking at it. Like there was something, I swear to God, something was driving me to that horse. Looking at it, I was like, I must have betted it in in one of its races at some point, or somewhere, because I kept looking at it.
Yeah, you remembered it,
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, Voodoo Zip, and the name kind of rung a little bit of a bell, and I was looking at it, and I was like, oh, it hasn't done anything, hasn't really made a splash. I was like, I couldn't talk myself into a horse to throw it on the ticket, and lo and behold, it ends up winning, but.
Yeah, I mean, for an 8,000 starter allowance, it's like it was such a wide open race. We said the first 2 legs were more wide open. Yeah, you got chalk on yours in the first leg, and it won. Surprisingly was the chalk. I didn't think it would be the favorite. But we knew there'd be a price in the second leg. There was an option. Just you can only go so far. That 8 was definitely a price. And of course, we came in second, third, fourth, and fifth in that leg. So a loser's a loser nonetheless. Third leg, listen, like a salt shaker, we said on the last episode. This is one always tough when Brittany Vanderberg and her husband, obviously he rides a lot of horses for her. They team up a lot. This was one that definitely could last the distance. I thought it was going to be more of a burnout at the top, taking away the speed, and really wasn't the case. Really a very strong win.
Yeah. I mean, in the form too, the form definitely said that horse was capable of winning, but I just feel like I've been sucked into the combination so many times in these big races where I didn't want to get burned again. It was almost like I bet it so many times and it didn't win that,
I just scoring sounded really good.
Yeah, underneath really was where I thought it was going to be, and they ended up pulling out the win.
Actually getting the win. Yeah, good price for the 5 in second, and Anti-Gravity came in third in that race, the 12. And then we get into the next leg. This was one that I was kind of actually surprised at. I had Hurry. You had the 3 Money Supply.
Yep.
And as the odds-on favorite, I believe Money Supply went off at, and Laughing Boy with Sammy Camacho wins that race. Another nice price here at about 11-1.
Yep.
Huge. Just a nice overall race for Laughing Boy in the win. But again, sitting there second and third in the picks, that kind of hurt a little bit. And then we go into the last race where we both had Segoy as our top pick. Another second here to Echo Lane at 12-1. So another surprising upset. I liked Echo Lane underneath. Harrell was your top pick, came in third. Kind of a tough ride for the 6. And honestly, I was going to say something to you here with Tyler. Tyler was on that horse, but Tyler, you said, I know you posted on X today, off his mouth the rest of the day.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was weird. It was a weird day for Tyler, something I haven't seen from him, especially not at Churchill. Kind of his bread and butter track, obviously. But in the third race today, this is Thursday, we're recording, he was winning in the third race, and I mean, he was drawing off. He was ahead probably by like 8, maybe even more than 8 lengths at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of pulled like a Luan Machado move where he was kind of gearing down. Looked like he was messing around with his goggles or something. And the one horse who ended up winning the race was trying the entire way, ate up all the ground and then ended up nosing Tyler out for what should have been a for sure winner for Tyler in that third race. Like, it was very interesting. I don't know what happened. I'd like to hear what happened. But it's something you typically don't see out of him, especially a veteran like Tyler, being as good as he is, so very interesting.
What race was that again?
That was the third race on Thursday.
The third race. It was early in the card.
Yeah, it was early in the card. And then Tyler had a couple other mounts. He came in second in most of them, or all of them. I think maybe he came in third in another mount. And then going into, I think it was the 6th or 7th race today, they announced that he was off the rest of his mounts, that he's been relieved of his mounts for the rest of that night. And there was only like 3 more races or whatever. So very interesting.
I wasn't able to watch today.
What transpired. Yeah. It
I
makes you wonder.
To watch today, but I'm looking at like a lot of seconds, thirds, and then off his mounts after the late. So obviously we had posted on our podcast site on X that he had an injury, so he did fall and get hurt on the 16th. Seemed to be fine, no broken bones, probably just a little sore. Maybe something re-aggravated from that incident today. I don't know.
Maybe, but they raced yesterday, and I think I think he was okay. Yes, I don't know. It was weird. It was just very interesting. Again, on what transpired, and hopefully everything's okay. I don't know what happened, but I'd be curious to see if they release anything. This is where horse racing could get a lot better, right? Overall, what happened? What's going on with Tyler?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything on Twitter. I didn't hear anything from the broadcast. I may have missed it, but if you watch football,
he's off, maybe.
Yeah, if you watch football and you see him going to the blue medical tent,
right?
You know exactly what's going on. Yeah, he's getting checked out for concussion. Always have some soreness in his shoulder.
They're on it.
They're on it right away. Or they walk to the locker room. Maybe 5 minutes go by and they're like, he's getting tested for X, Y, and Z. Horse racing, it's like, he's off his mounts. He hasn't been great all day. He gave up a really bad win. Ended up losing that race, and now he's off his mounts. Well, what does that mean? Why is he off?
Yeah,
or
even the horse, even the horse itself. When they do a scratch, they have the pre-scratches, which I get, but like a race before, all of a sudden someone's get scratched, or it's you got to really search to try to find out why it was scratched. Was it a trainer scratch? Was it a vet scratch? And even then, you're not getting the details as to what it was. Spike the fever. You really have to search to get that information. You just know that a horse was entered and scratched, so something was wrong. But maybe not, because these scratches that they do on horses sometimes, as we talked about before in previous podcasts, is that when a trainer scratches, it's different than a vet scratch. Vet scratch has a period of time before they can race again, where a trainer scratch is just really an excuse not to race and put them in a different race. So, we could do a lot better, and the transparency on information would be great.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not something you see from Tyler very often. I've never seen him give up a win like that ever. So that's something to be said. But again, it's just weird. Like I said, it could be he's hurt. Maybe he's got something going on off the track, or who knows. Yeah. It's all speculation, but it would be nice to just let the public know, like, hey, he's just, he's still hurt, or, he's got some injuries working through, or whatever, whatever the case may be. Because obviously we watch the sport like crazy, and if he's got some lingering issue, and he's on his mounts tomorrow, on Friday, the betting public should know, hey, he's dealing with an ailment, or, whatever the case may be. It might change the way you bet or you handicap a couple of your races, the following days. So very interesting. Another miss by horse racing, but, hopefully at some point they start, getting a little more transparent for the sport.
Yeah, totally. I'm just sending him a text right now, see if we get anything back.
Yeah, I think I've used up all my text lifelines with Tyler. Once we got him on the podcast, I don't know if he probably blocked my number for sure this time. So, it's like he scratched the itch.
He said he didn't.
Yeah, he scratched the itch, and now we're good. But yeah, hopefully everything's okay. Now we've got a big card on Saturday. We've got some big news on Friday, I guess. The good old Bob Baffert is unleashing a monster horse tomorrow in his first race back at Churchill in 3 years. So that's exciting.
Yeah. That's like
$3.2 million horse is racing tomorrow.
And who's the owner? Is that
Zidane
Racing? Yeah.
Zidane, yeah. I'll really say it. Yeah.
So Baffert going back to Churchill, like what's the relative other sports I guess analysis? Like would it be a player coming back against their old team, or I'm trying to think what would be a good analogy, sports analogy for Baffert return to Churchill, because it has been a minute, right? Couple 2-3 years now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a quote unquote cheating scandal.
I don't know if you're gonna get that.
I guess maybe it's like Houston coming back after the World Series after everything came out and playing the Yankees. Maybe that's kind of the epitome of it. They obviously got investigated, got so charged for the cheating, and that obviously hurt them getting to the World Series. They ended up winning the World Series, so maybe that's the equivalent.
Yeah, these are the times where I wish Stats was on with us, because he'd have some random fucking sports quote or some player that got busted for steroids or something, came back and got to play back at a team or something of that. He is always good at those, so not the best here.
Sports almanac Rolodex. He's his brain, Yeah,
he's got so much fucking information when it comes to sports.
Maybe like Brett Favre coming back to Lambeau. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably a good one. Yeah.
Playing for Minnesota or for the Jets, I guess either one.
Yeah.
Something like that,
Yeah, that's a good one, because that was the Jets transition and then Minnesota, correct?
Yeah.
Went to the Jets first. And
yeah,
then went
Jets
to the
first in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's probably a better analogy. Probably would have been the first he would have spit out anyways.
Yeah,
but,
probably.
Yeah, interesting Baffert coming back into Churchill. Let's see if he blows up the tote board with a 1-9 chalk, which probably is going to be the case for a $3 million horse on debut.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the horse, like the work. I haven't handicapped any of the races or anything like that, but just purchase price alone, it should be the best horse. And if I know anything about Bob Baffert, he's got this horse primed and ready to go. It's going to be like a no doubt win. It's going to be a single on everybody's horizontals. It's going to be the horse you put on top in the verticals. It's you gotta bet $1,000 to win $10. It's going to be ridiculous. Right. So
maybe stay off that race, but it'd be interesting to watch, see if he just goes ahead and wins that race and how the horse does.
Question is he going to be there? I wonder if he's going to make the trip out just to soak in the first start back from.
That's a good question. That's a good question. If he's there, the horse probably a lock, because I think he's going to want to get out there and get himself in the picture and get back on that the surface at Churchill, since he hasn't seen it in so long.
The question is Churchill going to incentivize some of the jockeys to make it the hardest trip they could possibly have on the track?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think there's any of that goes on. I mean, they're going to do what they got to do. I don't think anybody's going to be like, let's give him a hard time, try to box him in.
It's not political, but I mean,
it's not the jockey colony against Baffert. It was Churchill.
Not to get political, but I mean, obviously we see some fuckery when it comes to politics. Trying to edge each other out. Try to do X, Y, and Z, smear this person. Try to get a leg up. So if it's happening in politics, I can't imagine why it wouldn't happen at Churchill. I guarantee everybody still hates him. After that ordeal.
I would think the jockeys would want an opportunity.
I would at least think. But
the key here is who's getting them out. Who are the jockey colony is getting them out for? Pratt?
I mean, Pratt's going to be there on Saturday. So, I mean, if Pratt's going to be there, maybe it would make
probably
sense.
Going to be there on Friday.
Yeah, I would assume he's going to be there tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make the most sense for me, but.
Me too.
We'll see. If that were me, and I had a frustration with a trainer. That'd be I'd be like, hey, let's not give him the easiest trip. He tries to get to the rail, you go. You don't let him get to the rail easy. Don't let him get to the spot. I would box him in. Don't open up a hole.
Yeah, keep him pressured.
Make him earn his win back. But again, this horse will probably be out in the front. He'll probably break like butter and end up winning by
probably go wire to wire and won't even be pressed.
Probably.
With a horse that expensive, most likely. Before we get into the handicapping, sports betting last week, your call every week, if you watch the podcast or listen to the podcast on YouTube or on Apple or any of your podcast stations, you've heard the kid constantly throwing out there the prop bet every week is Josh Allen over a half interception.
It's worked 50% of the time.
Once we've brought it to light over the last 3 weeks, like it's 3 weeks in a row now, I think. Is it 3 or 4? I think it's 3.
I think it's 3 or 4. He's trying to pick in 3 or 4 games. I thought he was honestly, I thought he would throw a pick every single game. Like that's just the mentality I feel like he has. He's like, to bring up Brett Favre again, he's like Brett Favre. He's just a gunslinger that goes out there, throws the craziest ball. Doesn't matter who's in the area, and it gets picked off every once in a while. But
he does throw some crazy balls into double coverage, triple coverage sometimes. But quarterback isn't doing that at this point?
It's true. The bookmakers must be watching or listening because the odds on that are not great either. It's not like you're getting a crazy plus money. It's like almost like guaranteed. It's like minus money that he's going to be throwing an interception, just like Jordan Love. Jordan Love is guaranteed an interception every game too. You parlay those two together, you get plus 200 odds probably.
I feel like this is when you're at a roulette table and you've got like $100 on black and you let it ride and it goes black 3 times. Yeah. I think you're getting to the point where like, do I really want to one more time or do we like pull back, cash and sit off? Because
I think you just let it ride and just keep playing. I think he'll throw an interception from here on out probably every game. I think he's just like that dude that's going to do it.
That's a ballsy call.
Yeah, a couple of good calls, obviously, from our parlays. Obviously, we go, almost every week, and we go throw some money on the games. You hit one this week, which was great. The Bears costed us, a decent payout on another with that blocked field goal. And, I typically don't care about the Bears or the Packers. Obviously, I hate the Packers, but that just royally pissed me off and made me hate the Packers even more because they blocked that field goal.
When you've and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here when I talk about when you're betting sports parlay, especially in the NFL, when you've got a 4 or a 5 or even a 3-leg parlay and you have some great calls on 2 or 3 or 4 and you just need one more to cash. It seems like that one's almost impossible. And even if it's like one of the most obvious ones, like if, for instance, last week, if you had 4 out of 5 and your 5th one wasn't like Jefferson scoring a touchdown in that game against Tennessee, which was probably the more optimistic of any player to score a touchdown, probably was Jefferson. And you sit there and you go back and you go, how did Jefferson not score a touchdown? It's defeating. And last week, the 3 of the 4 that hit on the big parlay that you had set up and to lose on the over in the Green Bay Chicago game on a blocked kick on the last play of the game, that's really deflating.
Yeah, especially when, and I mean, I'll side with the Bears here. If you watch football and you know the rules, the center is not supposed to be touched until he comes up, right? You cannot touch the center until he lifts up. So once he snaps the ball, there is a couple seconds within that time frame, but then you can touch the center after the fact. They hit him immediately. They overloaded the center of the snap, pushed him over. They blocked the field goal. Game over. That's just I think the Bears are also going to protest. Not that it's going to do anything, but I think the Bears are going to protest the loss as well. So it brings some sort of awareness to it. But how pitiful is that?
Next to the defense lining off sides, like literally in the neutral zone or jumping early, that's probably the most focused on penalty in those extra points and field goal positions. That's what they're watching on. The second most common is that center being touched. Like they hawk that. Yeah. They watch that specifically to be able to call a flag if that happens. And in my opinion, it was sooner than it should have been, and maybe should have been a flag. It wasn't called. So how was that watched and not called? I don't really know, but
yeah.
Needless to say, one of the most disappointing non-parlay cashes I've ever had. Ever. I mean, I can think of a few other really drastic ones back in the day, but it's been a long time since I've seen a parlay that looked like a lock. Not at least you had an opportunity with the field goal. Missing it's one thing. Blocked is totally different.
Yeah, and I think also the fact that, like, when I was telling you prior to this, right, I was looking at the lines earlier in the week, and anybody that watches or is a sports gambler, they know that if the earlier you bet the games, the better, because that's when the lines are a little bit more loose. I think there's one guy who's like, I forget what his name is, kind of the most prolific sports bettor in history. He's like, all my bets are like Wednesday. He's like, he's making bets on like Wednesday for like Sunday games, right? And Sunday, like that's the time that's like the worst time to go, because all the lines, the sooner you get to the game, they tighten up, and then next thing you know, they're spot on somehow, some way. So when I was looking at them on, I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday, I was looking at the lines, and I think that it was like 38.5, somewhere around there, and they moved it to 40.5 on Sunday. So when I was looking at it, if I bet it on Thursday or Wednesday, whenever I was looking, we would have cashed, because I bet it on Sunday and they moved the line. I probably should have moved the line myself. Just took the less.
And we talked about that.
Less
you can always move the line.
Yeah, take less juice. But I was like, I still think it's doable. It's a 21-20 game, or whatever the case may be. But
you take the chance, and you sit there at that point and go, well, it's only 2 points. It's probably going to go way over. If you really like the over, you're probably looking at it that way. And then all of a sudden you're like, hindsight, you're like, shit, should have moved that back.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Story of my life from the gambling.
Yeah. So hopefully we get it back this week here at Churchill, and then we'll make up for it. Ebbs and flows when it comes to gambling. You win some, you lose a lot, but then you win a couple to get you at least a respectable amount of loss.
Right. So Churchill's not going to make it easy on us at all, because they're going to put a couple maiden races at both of the bookends here for the pick 5, which always opens the mind to think either there's a guaranteed lock out of here, or one that makes the most sense, or it's wide open. We're going to get into the handicapping here for Churchill for Saturday, starting in the 7th race. And I got to be honest with you, I don't feel as confident in this first leg here, and there's only one race that I really, really like. My lock of the week, I do have a pick that I really like, and I'll give you some analysis on that. Do you have anything that you're going to choose as your solo single in the sequence?
I don't know if I have like a single per se. There was a horse that I felt pretty confident on looking at the form, but this whole card looks pretty difficult to say the least. But I have one horse that I think if I was going to single, it would probably be this horse. But we'll get to it.
That's all. I just want to know if you had like a single or a lock, or what you were kind of thinking on for the sequence. I thought it was a tough sequence as well. It's going to be interesting how it's going to play out. But there is one race that I just think I think the more I looked at it, I was just like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident on it. Looking at the weather for this weekend too, it looks like it's clear. It's going to be cold. It's going to be in the 50s, but looks like no more snow or moisture coming in after today. So that's good news. Let's go ahead and get into the handicapping if you're ready, kid.
I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and start ourselves in the 7th race for Saturday. We're looking at a 6.5 furlong maiden, $120,000, purse of $120,000 for maidens, 2-year-olds. So let's not even get in the 3-year-old maiden race. Let's do a 2-year-old race and see if we can handicap this one. Obviously wide open, as we said, starting off the pick 5. But I'm going to go with the 10, Mo Quality. Big indication here. If Tyler's running, I haven't got anything back from him yet, so he's probably not going to respond to me tonight. But nonetheless, as long as he's running and he's on this horse for Chris Davis, I really do like it. The horse should be setting up for a closing position like he did last time. Just missed in $100,000 at Keeneland. We're up to $120,000. Not worry about the price difference here. But the workouts, that was on October 23rd where he came in second. The workout since on November 9th, 47-2. Now, coming into the race prior, had that 1 minute flat, great workout, bullet workout on 5 furlongs, and just missed. Horse is still in really good condition here. Looks to be in good form. It was an 87 speed figure on debut. I always like an improving speed figure coming off second time out, especially with Tyler and Chris Davis, another fan of the podcast that we've had on. I think this combination is going to work out great. They're 1-for-1 so far, and I think this combination is going to be the winning deal when it comes to this 2-year-old open race that we're talking about. Underneath, I do like the 2 Yinzer. This is Christian Torres for Steve Asmussen. Just the workouts alone, right? It's a first-time starter here, but the workouts look really good. Nothing really to it's not a twirling candy, so I do like that as well. So I'm going to make sure that's on the ticket underneath. I do like the 7 C Vista. This is Florent Giroux, Brad Cox. We've talked about it, especially at Churchill right now when they team up. It's the really, really good mount for Florent. It's the one that makes the most sense for Brad because he's gone in a couple different directions on a few other jockeys with Flo being available. This is one they're going to team up. Second last time out at Saratoga in a $100,000 maiden race. That was back on August 3rd. That was in the mud. Still a strong race. 89 speed figure. Should improve second time out. And the workouts are also really good. 4 furlongs and 47-4, and you have a 5 furlongs and a minute flat coming in. That was on November 16th. So 7 should be really, really tough. If you're looking combination-wise, I'd say the 10, the 7 are the top 2. The 2 definitely would be one I want to make sure I put on the card. And then the 4, troubleshooting. This one, I'm really confused on it. 2 races at 120,000, 5.5 furlongs and 7, both of those at Churchill. Took the lead, faded on both. The 5.5 was a little bit closer. The 7 seemed too long. We're going 6.5 this time. Speed figures were 79 and 80, so slight increase to the second. But the workout coming in was 47 flat. So maybe they've worked out a few things for this horse. They do put the blinkers on this 4 as well, which I think is a benefit. So I'm 10-7, 4-2. 10 and 7 really top 2 choices. 4 and 2 underneath. I like all 4 in the box for the try.
Yeah, this is a tough one to start out with. I ended up landing on the 7 as my top pick. Obviously, no stranger to the Brad Cox Florent Giroux connection. I think this is a really good spot for them. They just missed last time out, obviously on a muddy track, so an off track at 6 furlongs at Saratoga. Obviously, the competition out there is very stout and very tough to come across. But this horse has shown some speed. I know last time out, obviously, they took a really big closing perspective and a closing route to the race and ended up just missing. I think if they put this horse closer to the lead, which the training looks like they're going to try to sit a little bit closer, I don't think they're going to be as far off. Coming back from 8.5 and only losing by a length and 3/4 is pretty impressive. And I think it says something to the caliber of the horse.
7 wide too. I mean,
yeah. So
really
you're taking the longest,
extremely wide on the outside, making that trip.
Longest trip around the track you could possibly take right there. So that being said, I think they're going to be a lot closer to the lead here. I think that Florent knows that, and I'm sure they talked about it, that's just not the ideal trip. So I think you're going to see something a little bit different. I think this horse has got a good turn of foot, and obviously shown it last race. So I have the 7 on top. Because it's so difficult, I have 3 horses underneath, which isn't typically something I do. But I want to have some options in this first leg. This is a race, like I said before, I'll be peeling back on for my horizontals. I have the 8. So air raid, this is Luis Saez and Brian Lynch teaming up. Some good statistics from a breeding standpoint. I mean, the dam has got some success. They've got some winners coming out of the breeding and obviously in Candy Ride. The distance shouldn't be an issue. Saez, if he gets aggressive with this horse, I think it should definitely be able to hit the board nonetheless. But in a race that's wide open, why not take one of the hottest riding jockeys that are out there right now? So Saez, I think he had 3 winners today. So I mean, he's riding hot. He's back to form, and he's getting ready for obviously the big trip out to Florida coming up here soon. I have the 10, Chris Davis and Tyler, just like you said. Again, they just missed as well last time out. Some great, pretty quick fractions on a maiden race. They just couldn't eat into it. But again, another race where you see him 11 lengths back, that's way too much especially for a first time starter, right? You have to go and get through traffic, and it's not a seasoned vet horse. It's a first time out, just was not the ideal trip. That was Jose. Also makes me think that this horse has a little bit more because Jose rode first time out, and Jose always rides Chris Davis's, it seems like his live mount. So you're getting Tyler, you're not getting a step off here at all. You're getting a little bit even of an upgrade being at Churchill Downs, right? Being his home track. But again, just missed after being 11 lengths off. I think there's a good chance that this horse is right there down the stretch. And then Chris Hartman teaming up with Rafael Bejarano. That's the 12 putting Eagle. I think that this horse, they didn't show exactly what they wanted, but again, it kind of shows me the last two routes that they just kind of been indecisive, right? They hustle up and they drop back and then they drop further back, so it's either stick to a plan and get to it, or, sit patient and just be consistent in what you're doing. It just seems like they're a little confused on what the route is. But if I know anything about Chris Hartman and Rafael Bejarano, they're teaming up for obviously what could be a pretty, big price, because I think that this horse is going to go out pretty heavy. So, I just like what I'm seeing. I like the combination for the most part. That's kind of why I'm betting it. But I think 2 races in, hopefully they got a better game plan and sit this horse where they need to. So, like I said, going 3 deep underneath, but 7 with 8, 10, and 12. That's where I landed.
Yeah, interesting on that 12. That combination is just really red hot when it comes to Bejarano and Hartman. They really, and Hartman had a couple winners, I believe, yesterday. I didn't watch today's races, but I know that when they're together, you really have to pay attention to what's going on and what the setup is. Could be a nice setup here for the 12 as well. But I think we're all over it. I think we got some similars here. It's going to be interesting on the underneaths. I think the 10, the 7 are definitely we're kind of vying for that top position with those two, but there should be some prices there also to get. We can go ahead and move on to the 8th race. 8th race is a mile. It's the Grade 3 Chaluki Stakes, purse of $300,000 for filly and mares 3 years old and upwards. So I got I jostled around a little bit, but I got left here with my top pick as the 2, Pagali. A couple of reasons. I think the horse runs fairly well off the Lasix. The last race here in the Grade 2, not the best representation, but I think the extra mile on the 16th, or the extra 16th of a mile, the cutback back to a mile is definitely going to be beneficial here for the 2. I think what you're looking at here is just a little too much distance, and where it was running in the fractions it was running last time out was pretty slow. This horse is used to running into faster fractions, 47s at the half and 46 at the half, and I think you're going to be able to get that in this race. So I think there is some early speed. You got a great workout coming in, 4 furlongs and 48 flat. So I really like that. It really bodes well. So again, the cutback last time in the Grade 2, just faltering and finishing 4th, and off the Lasix still running good. I think it's a good one for Loa Machado and Thomas Drury. So I got them on top in this one. Underneath, I want 2 Sharp, the 4, Junior Alvarado and Philip Bauer teaming up. I like this one actually stretching out. Yeah, it broke its maiden and they put it in a Grade 3 where it ran a great bang-up race in the field of 8 at Saratoga, and then follow that up with a 110,000 allowance non-winners condition and win that race hands down at 6.5. So keep the stretching out. It's 3 years old and up, going to be fine. Speed figures are just fantastic. 99, 99, 98. The workout coming in 5 furlongs and 59, second best on that day on November 16th. So just almost wanted to take the 4 on top. I'm just giving Loa Machado a little bit of a nod here due to the fact that I think the horse is a little more tactical, can go to the front or sit off. I'm hoping Pagali sits off and actually runs down and is able to pass the 4-2 Sharp. But it's going to be close. Those are definitely my top 2. Also underneath then, to complete the exotics, the 6, Positano Sunset. I seem to have this horse in a lot of tries, and I usually have in the 2nd, 3rd position, and it's been cashing for me. It's got a lot of second-itis. It hasn't won since August of last year, but it always hits the board. Julian Laperoux and Ian Wilkes, I think that's going to team up well. And Ouvre. Ouvre is one of my favorite horses with J Love. When Chris Block and J Love used to team up at Hawthorne, that would be the automatic lock. I put it on top. The horses ran into some difficulties, and they've been running a lot of turf races for this horse. I'm not really worried about the distance so much because the horse shows it can run the mile. That's not the biggest concern, but they just keep switching surfaces on this horse. It's getting back to dirt, which I'd prefer it on, to be honest with you. I just think that the speed doesn't set up as well for a front runner here. This one should be in the front, should be wheeling. If J Love's trying to steal this race, this is the one he's going to want to go get a win with. And the horse has the capability to wire in the field. I just think it's going to get caught late and falter, even though it's one of my favorite horses to bet. So I'm going to have that 7 underneath as well. So my top picks, 2-4 with the 6-7.
Yeah, I've got 4 on top. 2 Sharp, Philip Bauer, Junior Alvarado. Everything you said there is accurate. Makes a lot of sense. This horse is obviously 2 for 4 in its career. Won an amazing race in that allowance race, right? Won by 6.5. So obviously, or 6.25. Obviously, this horse has got the pedigree and it's got the ability to win the big races. Obviously, they stepped up to that Grade 3 at Saratoga after breaking their maiden, and they just lost, and that was the first time against, some pretty tough class. Bright Work is a good horse as well. I think, again, they just missed. I think they could have been easily coming off of 3 straight wins here. They're teaming up here. I think this is Junior Alvarado's best mount, I think, of the day. He's got a really good opportunity here. They're putting the blinkers on, which I think is a step or a good move here for the connections. Excuse me. I think they're going to go to the front, which is typically what they do. I just think they want this horse to be focused on what the job is rather than seeing these horses that are probably going to press with them and run their race, not everybody else's race. So again, I like what I'm seeing there. In the race that they lost, they ran on a semi-off track, right? It wasn't a fast track. It was a good track. Yeah. So I think this horse is really, really good. I think this horse has got a lot of opportunity here in front of them. So I'll have that as my top pick. I like Ouvre for everything you're saying there, right? I mean, the turf to dirt changes always make me scratch my head, why you're switching it up so often. Sometimes when you see it, it's like, it's going to fit the condition. So you're running in this race, you need a warm-up race. That makes sense. But I think at some point for some reason, they think this horse is a turf horse. I don't know why. Because if you look at it's, 3 of its best races, 2 of its best races were on dirt. He won by 4 lengths at Hawthorne and 6 furlongs, and he won at 6.5 at Hawthorne, and he won by 6 lengths. It's both on the dirt. And you take him off the dirt, and you put him on turf, and he loses by half a length, loses by a length. Like, very good horse overall, but you're not getting the job done when you put it on turf. I think coming back to the dirt is definitely the move here for that horse. I think what you're seeing there is what you're going to get. This horse is also going to be pressing for the lead. Gets me a little bit scared, but maybe they'll sit stalking, and Jareth will be a little bit more patient. I guess we can ask and text and see what the strategy is. But, I don't know. I like this horse. I think it's very capable and has shown it when it gets on the dirt. So I have Ouvre, and then I have the 8 as well, Fancy. This is Tyler and Brendan Walsh. Obviously, Tyler is the man in when it comes to Churchill, and this is a connection that he always does very well with. I like this connection a little bit more when it's on the dirt or when it's on the turf. But even when it's on the dirt, you can definitely see that even last time out, 80K Open Company, they went to the lead and they absolutely just blew away the competition. Made it look pretty easy. It was a heavy bet favorite. They kind of went out there and won for fun. Yeah, they didn't win by 10 lengths, but I'm sure they could have if they wanted to. So a very tactical race for them, and they were stretching out for the first time or second time. Very, very capable horse as well. I think Tyler's going to make everything he can of this mount. This horse has posted a 100 speed figure in its career, right, in the 175K stakes race at Ellis Park. One thing with Ellis Park is they both have those long stretches. So, I like to see that this horse is going to be right there down the stretch. Do I think it can win? Maybe. More so underneath for me, but I like Fancy and I like the opportunity that they have here as well. So that's where I landed. I kind of threw off Pagali, even though that's a very logical horse as well. It makes a ton of sense.
I was going to ask you that because Pagali's beaten Fancy twice, and I figured if you like Fancy, you would want to throw Pagali in there. However, Fancy's best, career best speed figure was in that same race at Ellis Park in the Groupie Doll and second to Pagali. And those were both off Lasix, and this is another off Lasix race. So Fancy is a huge contender and has a great possibility. I don't know where the odds are at. Obviously, I'm not seeing them at this point, but I will tell you that if Fancy and Pagali are anywhere as polar opposites or even at the same, Fancy is the better option at the longer price because I think you're going to get a better price on Fancy than you will on Pagali. But both deserving here and both are well within the means of winning this race. Going to be interesting. Once again, the horse I threw off, the next logical. That's one you have on your ticket, so I'm glad we kind of back each other up on that.
Yeah, and I think too. I think we're very much aligned. Like if I could spread a little bit more, I probably would and throw Pagali in there as well, just as a safe bet because I think it makes sense. I get kind of sketched out when you go and jump up to a grade 2 and then you kind of lose and you don't really make a big splash in the grade 2, and then coming back to another race when you're not taking a significant drop in class always makes me skeptical of like, okay, is this horse, a little burnt out or even with the layoff, I think you want to come back and you want to win an easy one. I feel like, and that's kind of why I stayed off a little bit. But again, if this horse wins, it's not going to be surprising by any means at all.
And for me, for me with Pagali was the fact that it went to a grade 2, was sitting there second. It was in the mix early on, and it really wasn't. It was only 5 lengths off at the end, and now we're shortening back to a mile.
Yeah.
And the reason I dropped the 8 off my ticket is because this is the one that's moving up like Pagali did last time. It's going to, optional claiming races into a graded race. So you're bringing them up. I checked them down. I think we're on the same plane. We're giving plus and minuses to opposite horses. And I think it blends well. If we're going to do this pick 5 ticket, I think it really does mesh really well. So I'm not mad at that you brought that in, and you're probably not mad that I have Big Alley on the ticket as well. So
nope.
Let's go ahead and get to the 9th race. 9th race is 6 furlongs. It's an allowance, 127,000, purse of 127,000 for 3-year-olds and upwards, which have never won a race other than maiden claiming starter or which have never won 2 races. So it's non-winners of 2. So I talked to you about early in the show, where's my lock of the day? This is my lock. This is where I really feel the best out of all the races. I'm going to go with the 4 Colorado Cruiser. You're nodding your head no. Is that what you got too?
No.
Okay.
This is also where I would have had my best bet if I had one.
Okay.
But
so let's give the arguments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Start us off.
The reason I'm going with Colorado Cruiser, multiple reasons here. Number one, as I said, right, we're in an allowance race, 127,000, and we're going 6 furlongs. Colorado Cruiser's been running one time out this year. Horrible race, absolutely terrible. Was never in it, just out there on the track, and it was a 175,000 non-graded stakes race, right? That was with Jack Sisterson. It's in Doug O'Neill's barn. So we got a barn change, which is a plus. We've got 4 solid workouts since that run in February. Horse was not sound in February. They put it on the shelf. The horse has 4 great workouts. Recently, October 26th, 1 minute and 2/5. November 2nd, 47, breezing from the gate. Bullet workout. November 9th, 5 furlongs and 59 and 2. And then most recently, 1 minute and 1 on 5 furlongs. Those are at Keeneland. Now, add in the fact that he's getting Lasix for the first time. They're putting the blinkers back on. That last race, no blinkers when he ran in February. The numbers that the horse was running when it broke its maiden, just consistently getting better. I would say that when they put this horse out in February, it was not ready to go. No doubt in my mind. The big kicker for me, for Doug O'Neill, is he's got Bejarano riding this horse. Bejarano has had the last 7 mounts on the 3 attaché. He runs consistently for Chris Hartman. He never gets away from Chris Hartman horses because they have a great connection, 40 times together, a high percentage in the money, a high percentage winning. If Bejarano's taken this mount, the only thing that tells me is that this horse has rebounded from the injury in February that put him on the shelf. It is sound and it is ready to go. And I'm looking for this horse to not only break well, but to also probably possibly do a wire job in this race, or at least be stalking and take control and win easy. So it's my top pick. You're coming from a non-graded stakes race. Yeah, we're coming down to an allowance 127,000. Perfect. Under a condition of non-winners of 2, absolutely love it. So 4 is my top pick. I am going to have that 3 underneath attaché for everything I just said. The horse has been running fantastic, but you switch Bejarano for Gerardo Corrales, it just doesn't do anything more for me than just put it in the second position. Still a great horse. So I've got 4, 3, and then I'm going to add 2 more on here. I like the 8. The reason I like the 8 in this race, let me go back here, sorry. The reason I like the 8 Band for Life, it's cutting back in distance. That's going to help. Speed figures, last 2 time, 97 and 93. Horse seems to be getting into its form. 3 back was a muddy race. That was a maiden race. Broke its maiden. Allowance 110,000. Second last time out in that race. Still has the Lasix. I just think you're looking for a good even race, and the cutback definitely helps that horse. And then the 11, Agoo. Ricardo Santana 2 times on this horse had the mounts first and second. 80,000 claimer and 125,000 optional claimer. Non-winners condition of 2. This one also fits the bill. 98 and 93 speed figures on the Lasix. Horse runs a lot better on the Lasix last 2 times out, and it's really in good form. But those are distant second, thirds, and fourth possibility from where I'm seeing things. There's nothing going to take me away from this 4 on top. The 3 probably for second, and the 8 and 11 underneath. That's your lock of the week.
I like it. And I like everything you said because I do have the 4 on the ticket. I have it underneath. My top pick is going to be the 9. It's a 9.
Oh,
Band for Life is the horse I landed on. Size has ridden 3 horses, including this horse, in this field. So he's ridden 3 of the horses.
Back up a second. Sorry. Back up a second.
Yep.
I said the 8. It's the 9, Banned for Life, cutting back in distance.
Yeah,
so that
9.
is my third pick. Okay.
The 9 is okay. Yeah.
I said so the 9, 8, but the 9 was my third pick.
Okay. So yeah, the 9 is definitely my my pick. He's ridden 3 of the horses in this race. 2 of which are taking, obviously you got different jockeys aboard. Saez alone, right, rides a ton for Eddie Keneally. Eddie Keneally also has the 1 in this race, which also makes me lean towards the fact that Saez is taking the liver of 2 mounts, the liver of 3 mounts, right, seeing that he's ridden a couple different horses. Saez has been able to get this horse really close, just obviously not getting the job done at a consistent clip. Last 3 races, they hit the board each 3 times. 97 speed figure at Saratoga, came back at Keeneland, obviously lost by 6 lengths to a monster. It's an allowance race. But you're coming in this field where I think you've got a very good opportunity to do something a little bit different. I think they're going to be a lot closer to the speed here. They're 4 lengths off. I mean, they drew off in that last race, but if they sit there right on the lead like they did at Saratoga, I can see this horse pulling away and winning down the stretch. Again, I'm strictly going off of how he's riding on these mounts and how consistent he is. I just would like to see him win a lot more, obviously. But again, if you've ridden 3 horses in this race and you get the option to choose a horse, it says a lot from a jockey standpoint, especially when he rides for Eddie Keneally. And when Eddie Keneally has a horse in the race, he's going to the front. He's going to try to burn up and go. And, I think, again, that just kind of speaks to what kind of, abilities the 9 has. So I have the 9 on top, working out very well. Again, just a good opportunity for the bunch. I have the 4 underneath. I was thinking about going 9-4 straight, not even kidding. Just because of everything you said. I like Doug O'Neill coming over here to Churchill, has had some success. I like that they're trying the Lasix for the first time. You obviously have the blinkers on again. I think that bodes well for them. They're training very well coming into the race. 37 all the way back in August, but even in November, they're running a 47 and 4. Again, the training regimen has been very impressive for this horse, and I like what I'm seeing there. A little bit of a layoff, obviously, is going to be a question mark, for me. But sometimes you need a horse to take some time off and kind of regroup, and I think that's what they're doing. And I don't think they're taking too big of a jump, early on. So I like the 4. I think they've got a really good shot. And then the other one that I have is the 11 as well. That's Santana and Norm Cassie. Again, these 2 have teamed up, not Norm Cassie. Whitworth Beckman. These 2 have teamed up here in the last 2 races. Just lost last time out, could be easily coming off of 2 straight. Very, very tactical horse, sits off the speed and just picks their spots. They're typically running into some pretty fast fractions, which you're going to see in this race as well. You're going to see some, I would probably say right around a 22 is what they're probably going to run into if they're not setting the fractions themselves. Very good success out of the barn lately. Beckman has had some pretty good success in the meet, and he's coming alive ever since kind of last year. Obviously, they had some Derby trail horses, and they've got a good barn, starting up and starting to catch flames. So Ricardo Santana getting them out here, I think he's going to be right there down the stretch as well. So I've got, pretty much the same ones you do. 9 with the 4-11 is where I landed.
Yeah, listen, we're seeing the same things. We're looking for the same kind of advantage here. The 9 and the 4 are both having jockeys that had opportunities elsewhere but decided to take these mounts on 2 very strong horses. So I think overall, the 9-4, 11, 3, and 1, those are your top 5.
Yeah.
I think overall, because I don't want to leave Just a Freak off the trifecta ticket, because the horse has been running really good except for the last time out in similar conditions, but it's leaving the Brendan Walsh barn and it's going back to Eddie Keneally. So he lost him 2 back, now regains the opportunity. And again, the workouts are fairly good. And the horse never has been a spectacular horse in the morning with this one, but Just a Freak could definitely spoil some things as far as the exotics are concerned in your tries and your superfecta. So I think we're on it. I think 9-4, 11, 3, 1 is probably the best combination that you're going to get somewhere there to nail this try. Anything outside of that, I'm just not seeing in the competition. So
might just do I'm glad that we were box the 9, 4, and 11 is where I'm going, I think.
Yeah, I like that. And I even like all 3 on top and just throwing the 1 and the 3 in there. The 3 makes sense to go to the front. I see that going to the speed. It should be a 22:45 half with the 3 on top. Just makes sense, especially with Corrales likes to go to the front, very aggressive jockey. So that being the case, he's going to come back to the field. And I think we're looking at the winners that we had picked. So Really like this race a lot. Probably my favorite bet to race of the day, if I had to choose one. Let's move on to the 10th race. 10th race, a mile and the 16th. It's on the turf. This is the Grade 3 Commonwealth. Big race here. Purse of $300,000 for 3-year-olds. And now we're going to go back to the crapshoot, I guess, right? Go from confidence to like, man, there's a lot of things that could go in this race. But I'm falling all the way to the outside. 8, Hershey, Edgar Morales, Helen Pitts. Very short sample size here. 4 races, all from this year. 2 wins, a second and a third. Broke its maiden, went to an allowance 73,000. Second in the gun runner to Brilliant Birdie, and then third in the Grade 3 at Keeneland. Again, to Brilliant Birdie. No Brilliant Birdie in this race, so I think this horse actually has a chance to go ahead and win in a stalking trip. I like the 7 Leginos. I've always bet in this horse. Been running a lot of classier races. Grade 2s, drops down to Grade 3s. Hasn't had the best the last 2 times out, to be honest with you. What I'm looking here for is that Churchill, it's 2 out of 3 in the money. I think the horse will be coming off pace, which bodes well because there is a lot of early speed potential. Flavian Pratt, Steve Asmussen, I like when they team up. It's very rare, but he does give them the fair runs when he gets those Asmussen horses, does Flavian. So I like that in the mix underneath. I'm going to stay to the outside and still stick with 9 Evade. This is another horse that makes this great, brilliant move, has a nice middle move, and then kind of flattens out in the stretch and doesn't really finish its last couple races, albeit it has been Kentucky Downs and Keeneland. 100 speed figure and 90 speed figure. Very strong contenders, just as good as Hershey's 291s in the last 2 races. So the 9 figures to be in the mix and probably could potentially be a winner, albeit Tyler in the saddle would be a big plus. Anybody else underneath? I'm going to just throw the 1, My Boy Prince, Flojo and Mark Cassie. Not great percentages when the 2 team up. Only 33% on 3 mounts so far together. But this is a horse that has the ability to go to the front. Did last time in the Grade 3 at Keeneland. Just fell short in that race, which was a mile. We're stretching out a little longer. I'm hoping it has a little more in the conditioning to be able to at least hit the board and hold on for third. That's as far as I want to put the 1. But 8, 9, 7, those 3 outside positions. I'm sorry. Yeah, 8, 9, 7, 3 outside positions with the 1 maybe hanging on for a piece in the try. That's where I'm at.
I've got the 9. I've got the 9 on top. Tyler and Mike Maker. Last 2 races, obviously Grade 1, Grade 3 class. Grade 1, they ran their best speed figure that you can see on the form here. They also won a Grade 1 all the way back out in May of this year. But again, coming back overseas here, at stateside, I think that this horse has just missed. Like you said, just hasn't been able to finish the race. But I think that, again, in these sprint-esque or these shorter races, they're not able to gobble up the ground because they're running into those fast fractions, and typically I think the distance to cover is a little too much from what you're asking out of the horse. So I'm hoping that they put them a little bit closer. I think that they have a good shot here. They haven't won the last 2 races, but a 90 and 100 speed figure in both races is pretty impressive, especially one of them being a Grade 1 effort where they just kind of faltered late. But again, covering a lot of ground when you're making up 6 lengths, that's a tall order to ask out of anybody or any horse. So I like their shot here. I like Mike Maker and Tyler. It's a combination you haven't seen as much this year, unfortunately. Used to be like a very, very tough connection to beat, but with Saez and Jose out there and Irad coming out there every once in a while, I think it took away from that business a little bit. But again, it's a combination that we've seen before that they have teamed up and done great work together. So I have the 9. Be crazy to leave it off the ticket for me, especially with Tyler. I have the 4 underneath. I think Junior Alvarado and John Ortiz, this horse is coming off of 2 back-to-back wins. The last race that they ran, the Hawthorne Derby, was the best race in its career. You're getting a step up. Obviously, Axel Concepcion was the jockey that got the job done for him last time. They obviously ate up a ton of ground. They were 5 lengths off, ended up getting the head down first. But a great effort from this horse and a step up that's pretty significant consideration that they just broke their maiden the race prior. So 94 speed figure, great ride, great mount, and you're getting Junior Alvarado, which in my opinion is a step up in jockey here, obviously with the experience. And John Ortiz picks his spots. He's a very calculated and meticulous trainer. He obviously puts his horses in the best spots possible in the races that he definitely thinks he's got an opportunity. I think you're going to get a decent price on this for as well. I don't think they're going to go off blazing, but if they do, I'll have it on the ticket regardless. And then the other one that I have is your 8. This one, it's hard to leave this one off as well. Back-to-back best speed figures in the Grade 3. Again, just missed, was right there. Brilliant Birdie. We've seen that horse Definitely capable, very good, solid horse to lose to. If you're going to lose, that's going to be one horse that you want to lose to. And, again, similar field. If it's a condition very well, you're going back into a grade 3 and you're stretching out a little bit, which I think is going to help them cover up the ground and just eat into it a little bit more. So I like Edgar. I like the way he's riding, and he's had all 4 mounts on this one. So it's no slouch to, the type of race that this horse needs to run. And I like the fact that they were working out on the turf as well. You don't see that typically too often. The last time out, when they were training, they actually trained on the turf course, which like I said, in my opinion, is a little bit of a tip of the cap there. And nice to see, get the turf underneath you and see how you take to it. So, also broke its maiden, first time over the surface, they broke their maiden first time out at Churchill Downs. So again, everything you want to see in a horse, very consistent, and will be on my ticket as well. So 9 with the 4 8s in this leg.
I like that a lot. I once again, I really like that you went to the 4 there and commented on it. This was one that I was on the fence about. The only reason I even had to remove it off is I was already too deep on where I thought they'd be positioned. But the horse has definitely improved since breaking its maiden, and I think you can negate those 2 times at Churchill on those 1.125 races. Maybe 1.16 is more ideal, but definitely a late mover, and it really bodes well for the way this race sets up as well. So, interesting race. That's probably my least confident race. So I'm glad that you backed it up with an outside horse that I didn't have on the ticket. That should help our chances and opportunities. And then we can just go ahead and get into the last race. Let's get into the finale. Nothing really of a banger going out here, but it's a 1.16 maiden 120,000, purse of 120,000 for maiden filly 2-year-olds. Really tried to narrow this ticket down as much as possible. I'm still going 4 deep, just strictly on the verticals or the horizontals, not the verticals. Sorry, back that up. Just on the verticals, not the horizontals. I've only got 2 that I really feel confident on. That's the 3 girl math. 2 most recent outings here at 120,000, both at Churchill Downs at route races after coming off the sprint, disappointing 4th, first time out on debut at 71,000. Just missing 2 back and just missing last time really by a neck. Both of those races had Machado and Gaffleone on, and now you're getting Flavian Prat. This one makes a lot of sense to me for Rodolphe Prezet. They have a lot of common ground here when the 2 team up from trainer and jockey. The Dam has 5 winners out of 7 starters, and 2 of those are stakes winners. So I really feel confident that they're going to finally put the check mark here for girl math to get the win. And I love the 48-3 workout coming into the race last time out. I'm also going to throw the 4. So this is Tyler's other mount. Christian Torres had the mount last time here for Serafia, but Tyler's getting the mount now for Steve Asmussen. And again, this is another combination that surprisingly hasn't worked. Tyler and Asmussen, they're 0 for 4, but they are hitting the board. This one, I think, is another board hitter. Again, when you're looking at the Dam statistics, this is a winner. The 3 was a stakes winner Dam. This is a winner Dam that has 7 starters and 3 winners and a stakes winner as well. And the stretch out, I think, is actually going to help this horse on the 4, going from 7 furlongs last time out at Keeneland and now stretching out to the 1.16. As far as prices I want to put underneath, I'm hoping our prices, that's going to be the 5 Calamity. This is a first-time starter for Brad Cox and Luis Saez. They have been, teaming up a lot more. They've got 18 times together, almost 40% in the money, or winning, and 67% in the money. So when they do team up, it's usually paying out. 47-2 workout on November 2nd for 4 furlongs, and I like the 5 furlongs in 101-1. Not the best of the day, but it's a nice strong workout. And then last but not least, I'll add the 7 in here, which is Golden Gamble. Brian Hernandez, Kenny McPeak, we already know the connections there and what they do as far as history and work. This one had an 81 speed figure on debut, should improve second off at 120,000 at Churchill. Still going to 1.16. I just think didn't get the best trip overall. Was 7th, 6th coming into the turn, coming for home. Wound up 3rd by 2 lengths with Laperoux, and now we're getting Hernandez, which is Kenny's main guy in the iron. So let's just go ahead and throw that one underneath. But I am really on the 3 and the 4 as my top 2, the 7, the 5 underneath. 3, 4, 5, 7. That's where I'm stretching out in my verticals. 3, 4, my top 2 in the horizontals.
I have all of those same horses. Every single.
I like
one.
it. I like it.
This is another wide open race, in my opinion. Obviously, it's a maiden race. It's 120K. A lot of horses that haven't panned out yet, and a lot of horses that are unraced. So I'm taking a swing here with Brad Cox and Saez. The sire shows some pretty good, some statistics, right? Gun runner, breeding, first time out, first time asking. So from a breeding standpoint, I like what I'm seeing. The dam really hasn't produced a ton of success, but I think there's something to be said when Brad Cox and Louis Size team up here. I'm hoping that they just put this horse on the lead and they go and see what the horse is made of, first time out, right? Just go and break well and get an easy trip at the front. Do they think they can hold on? I guess we'll see, especially at a mile and a 16th. I think it's a little bit of ask, but again, Size being as aggressive as he is, first time asking, I want to see what this horse is made of. So I've got the 5. The 3, Girl Math, obviously makes a ton of sense, right? I think this horse is just a little bit creeping into that second-itis mode. You had Tyler last time, and he couldn't get the job done, but was darn close in getting the job done. Ended up losing by a neck. But obviously in a very similar condition, right? Mile and the 16th at Churchill Downs. It's not going to add a maiden 120K race. It was not far off of winning that race. So I think you're going to see similar statistics here from this race. I think you're going to see a horse that stalks, and you're going to get Flavian Pratt trying to push this horse above everybody else at the end. So I've got the 3. I like the 4. I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me is $1 million purchase price for this horse back in February. It's Gun Runner. It's Tyler Gaffalione. Like you said, Steve Asmussen and Tyler haven't really teamed up for a ton of wins as of late. The combination has been kind of cold. But when you've got a $1 million horse racing in a maiden field, they got blown out of the water last time out. But you're getting Tyler Gaffalione on board, and I think you're going to see a little bit of a tactic change, right? I mean, they sat just mid-pack and really didn't make much of an effort to get there fast enough. So I think pull the trigger a little bit sooner. And get to where you need to be, and you're getting Tyler, who's going to put this horse exactly where you need to be. So I like the 4. Like I said, that purchase price just makes me scratch my head and think that this horse has probably got some big aspirations, even though they didn't show it in the first mount. And then the other horse, obviously the 7, Golden Gamble, Kenny McPeak and Brian Hernandez. Julian Leperoux last time out, I think they just pulled the trigger way too late. They decided to get moving. A little too slow, a little too patient of a ride. I think you're going to see a little bit more of an aggressive approach from Brian Hernandez, who's going to put them in the right spot. And when they need to go, when they're hitting that turn, they're going to be going, they're going to be wheeling. The horse has definitely got the turn of foot that you want to see, first time asking. Again, is ridden in the condition, mile and the 16th and a 220 maiden K race. I think that this horse is definitely capable. The breeding, out of Uncle Mo going all the way back, and then Bernardini, which you don't see very often, but was obviously a monster of a horse as well. Definitely has the breeding that you want to see coming into a race like this. So I like the combination. I like the breeding. I don't like the first race, even though they finished 3rd. I think that they can do better than that, and I think they will on Saturday. So I've got the 7 as well. But like I said, I had all the same horses you were looking at, so that's either really good for us or really, really bad for us.
Well, it's funny because you have the 5 on top. I have the 3 on top. I have the 4 for second. You have the 4 for third. I have the 7 for third. You have the 7 for fourth. But that 7 was that the name of the horse? Sorry, let me go back here. Golden Gamble, the Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez horse. The last time out, ran in the same race with Girl Math. And although Girl Math just fell short by a neck, they were only, 2 lengths behind. Moving late, so a better trip for the 7 may actually upgrade this horse, to a higher position and maybe even be able to beat Girl Math, which I find in my handicap and probably not. It's not remotely out of the question, but I still think Girl Math is the better horse between the 2, even though the purchase price from the horses that you've given and the information. It's a really good race for a 2-year-old filly race. I don't think you get asked for much more. You've got 4 high quality horses, and we're both obviously locked into those 4 just in different orders. So really interested to see where that comes out. But I think if you go with that 4 in the last leg of your horizontals and you're live at that point, you're cashing some tickets. So that's it. I think this is one of the best handicapping that we've done overall since the Breeders' Cup. This feels like a little more focused and a little more energetic. And maybe it's just because we went 2 of 5 last week, but I feel really good about this week. I think we're really seeing the track well, and I think we're really onto something this week. So I hope all the listeners pay attention. My favorite leg, I told you what my favorite leg and my top pick was. You've heard the kids' top picks. Should be a good day on Saturday. It's going to be cold, so I'll be sitting in my living room watching the races comfortably and enjoying them from my my couch. You, kid, what are you doing this weekend?
Probably the same. I don't have much planned for the weekend, so which is nice. Been kind of crazy over the last couple weekends, but yeah,
just gonna say
relax and try to win my money back from last weekend, and yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I kind of like that. Actually, I like that a lot because it has been, for some reason or another, it's really been a crazy couple of weeks here leading it. After the Breeders' Cup, it's just been a blur. Finally getting into the dark fall, winter days, and the nice quiet weekends of not having to go do something ridiculously every week. Just seems like the summer is finally over. Fall is finally coming to a close, and winter is approaching us here with snow up in Wisconsin where we're at. So looking forward to this weekend. Any NFL prop plays you want to throw out here for the week?
Josh Allen over half of an interception. And then
yeah.
I think Christian McCaffrey's due, but you're going to get very, very you're going to get shit odds on scoring a touchdown. So
needed him last week.
Maybe Christian McCaffrey first touchdown scorer.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
That's where I think I might go.
That's interesting, to be honest with you. If you look at the matchups this week, as far as NFL, there's nothing really that's overly intriguing for me as far as exciting. Last week, I think there was a lot of great games. Obviously, like Chiefs, Bills. There was a lot of great games. I think you could make some spectacular calls in. I don't really see anything here that was really screaming off the chart for me this week. But I will go to the Raiders, their tight end, Bowers. He's just been a tight end touchdown scoring machine. I like Bowers to get a touchdown this week. And, the Lions against the Colts, if you stick with Gibbs and Montgomery scoring touchdowns, you're probably doing well for the year. I'm going to keep the Montgomery train at least going with an anytime touchdown. And probably one of the most disappointing games of the week that probably looked really good on paper early, the Commanders and the Cowboys. I got mixed feelings about the Cowboys. Everyone's kind of giving up hope on them. They're still moving the ball. Yep, they're still moving the ball though. They're just not really responding in the red zone. But I got Commanders on the spread in this one. It's not really a big surprise here, and should be pretty straightforward on that. Maybe a Daniels touchdown. Probably going to walk one in.
Yeah,
yeah, probably due for one as well. So Daniels probably not going to get a lot of cash on that for an anytime touchdown, but that's going to be it for this week for the podcast. That's your pick 5. That's your NFL prop plays for the week. For myself, listen, appreciate everybody responding back, right? We're still fresh here on the video platform. Please go to YouTube. Please go ahead, like, subscribe. You'll get the notifications every time we post something. That'd be a big plus. Then you don't have to worry about searching for it. Other than that, if you're only on the audio side, keep listening here. We'll keep plugging in good content for you. Shoot us an email, reach out. We'd love to hear from you guys. Other than that, for myself and the kid, until next week, thank you.